Good day. These are the sample questions for the first topic under aquaculture. Aquaculture industry setting. 1. What Southeast Asian country is the leading aquaculture producer in the world? A. Vietnam. B. Indonesia. C. China. D. Thailand. The answer is B. Indonesia. Southeast Asia composed of 11 countries, including Brunei, Myanmar, Cambodia, Timor-Leste, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. In Southeast Asian countries, Indonesia is the leading aquaculture producer next to China in the world ranking. 2. It contributed almost half, or 58% of the world's aquaculture production data last 2018. A. China. B. Indonesia. C. Japan. D. USA. The answer is A. China. As can be seen on bfar.gov.ph, China contributed almost half, or 58% of the world's aquaculture production data last 2018, which is equivalent to 46.8 million metric tons. 3. What is the rank of the Philippines in the world aquaculture setting last 2018? A. 11th. B. 5th. C. 3rd. D. 7th. The answer is A. 11th. With a production of 822,466 metric tons, the Philippines placed 11th on the world aquaculture setting on 2018 next to Thailand. For Korea is famous for its aquatic plant culture. What is the country's global ranking last 2018? A. 2nd. B. 1st. C. 5th. D. 3rd. The answer is D. 3rd. Korea placed 3rd on the global ranking by 2018 in terms of aquatic plant production, with around 1.7 million metric tons. The country's top seaweed species are Pyropia, Undaria, and Saccharina. 5. What Scandinavian country is famous for its salmon production? A. Scotland. B. Greenland. C. Iceland. D. Norway. The answer is D. Norway. According to fishfarmingexpert.com, Norway is the world's largest producer of farmed salmon, wherein it had exported 1.1 million metric tons, that was 2% higher from its 2019 record. 6. Finfish aquaculture is either inland, marine, or coastal, which is more significant in terms of production volume and share based on the 2018 world statistics. A. Inland aquaculture. B. Marine aquaculture. C. Coastal aquaculture. D. None of them. The answer is A. Inland aquaculture. According to FAO, inland aquaculture is the highest in terms of finfish production in the 2018 world statistics, with 47 million metric tons produced. 7. What commodity is the second most farmed in aquaculture worldwide? A. Crustaceans. B. Finfish. C. Aquatic algae. D. Mollusks. The answer is C. Aquatic algae, with a volume of around 32.4 million metric tons. Aquatic algae are the second most farmed worldwide. 8. Tilapia is widely consumed worldwide. What is the rank of tilapia in terms of volume last 2018? A. 1. B. 2. C. 3. D. 4. The answer is C3. Tilapia rank third worldwide in terms of volume next to silver carp. It has a total production volume of around 4,525 metric tons. 9. What is the number one fish species farmed in the world? A. Grass carp. B. Nile tilapia. C. Common carp. D. Big head carp. The answer is A. Grass carp. According to FAO, the grass carp, Tenepharingodon idalis, is the number one fish species farmed in the world with 5,704 metric tons production volume. 10. In the world of aquaculture, what kind of commodity has the most significant share? A. Aquatic algae. B. Crustaceans. C. Mollusks. D. Finfish. The answer is D. Finfish. Finfish is the commodity that have the most significant share in the aquaculture total production with 54,279 metric tons, or 66% of the global production. 11. What is the biggest culture system share in the Philippine aquaculture? A. Freshwater Fishpond. B. Brackish water fishpond. C. Marine fish cage. D. Freshwater fish cage. The answer is B. Brackish water fishpond. According to BFAR, brackish water fishpond is the top contributor in the total aquaculture production, accounting 345,169.29 metric tons, or 54.9% last 2019. 12. It is the number one producer of tilapia in the world. A. Philippines. B. China. C. Vietnam. D. Indonesia. The answer is B. China. China remains the largest producer of farmed tilapia worldwide, harvesting 1.7 million mt per year. However, production is expected to decline further as time goes by. 13. Which species has a total production of 414,944.25 metric tons last 2019 in the Philippines? A. Bangus. B. Tilapia. C. Catfish. D. Shrimp. The answer is A. Bangus. In 2019, the Philippines had produced 414,944.25 metric tons of milkfish. The production was spearheaded by Region 1, with 116,796.79 metric tons. 14. What is the most cultured crustacean in the world? A. P. Vaname. B. P. Monodon. C. M. Rosenbergii. D. P. Clarkia. The answer is A. P. Vaname. As presented by FAO, P. vaname, or the white-leg shrimp, is the most cultured crustacean in the world with 10.72% share on the global production. 15. The Philippines used to farm and export this crustacean during the 90s, but the production eventually declined due to diseases. What species is this? A. P. voridis. B. P. vaname. C. P. Monodon. D. O. Niloticus. The answer is P. Monodon. The giant tiger prawn, P. monodon, is greatly cultured and exported by the Philippines during the 90s next to milkfish. However, the production decreases due to different factors such like diseases, namely the luminous vibriosis, due to high stocking densities. 16. What is the world's top mollusk aquaculture species? A. Blood cockle. B. Scallops NEIC. Cupped oyster. D. Japanese carpet shell. The answer is C. Cupped oyster. The Crassostrea species, commonly known as cupped oyster, is the top mollusk species for aquaculture, with 29.5% share on the global mollusk production. 17. In developed countries, what is the most common type of fishery product form? A. Frozen. B. Live, fresh and chilled. C. Preserved. D. Cured. The answer is A. Frozen. By 2018, frozen products are the most common type of fishery products in developed countries, mainly for long-term consumption and exportation purposes. This product requires production equipment and methods, hence access to capital. 18. What is the per capita apparent fish consumption of Asia last 2017? A. 24.10 kilograms per year. B. 22.00 kilograms per year. C. 20.00 kilograms per year. D. 25.00 kilograms per year. The answer is A. 24.20 kilograms per year. According to FAO, Asia's fish per capita consumption last 2017 is 24.1 kg per year, which is equivalent to 108.7 million metric tons. 19. It is the number one farmed aquatic plant species worldwide. A. Euchuma species. B. Porphyra species. C. Gracilaria species. D. Laminaria japonica. The answer is D. Laminaria japonica. In 2018, the Japanese kelp is the number one farmed aquatic species worldwide, with 11,448.3 metric tons volume of production. This seaweed species is famous for its medical uses. 20. What kind of seaweeds do we heavily farm in the Philippines? A. Euchuma and Sargassum. B. Gracilaria and Euchuma. C. Euchuma and Capithecus. D. Gracilaria and Porphyra. The answer is B. Gracilaria and Euchuma. Gracilaria and Capithecus are the two seaweed species that are heavily farmed in the Philippines, especially in the areas of Palawan, Zamboanga, and ARMM. 21. It is the overall world apparent fish per capita consumption last 2017. A. 21.30 kilograms per year. B. 20.30 kilograms per year. C. 23.30 kilograms per year. D. 22.30 kilograms per year. The answer is B. 20.30 kilograms per year. Based on the FAO data, the overall world's fish per capita consumption last 2017 is 21.30 kilograms per year, which is equivalent to live weight of 152.9 million metric tons. 22. What is the top importing country in fish and fish products? A. China. B. UK. C. Japan. D. USA. The answer is D. USA. In 2018, the United States of America is the top importing country in fish and fishery product with 14% share, followed by Japan and China with both 9% respectively. 23. It is the number one fish species traded in terms of value last 2018. A. Carps. B. Salmon. C. Tilapia, D. Tuna. The answer is B. Salmon. The salmon is the top fish traded in 2018 in terms of value with 19% share. This also includes trouts and smelts. 24. What is the total number of Philippines brackish water fish ponds? A. 235,854 hectares. B. 235,458 hectares. C. 253,854 hectares. D. 253,845 hectares. The answer is C. 253,854 hectares. The Philippines has a total of 253,854 ha of brackish water fish ponds, where it produced 345,163.29 metric tons in 2019 according to the Philippines Fisheries Profile 2019. 25. This is the biggest sector of Philippine fisheries? A. Fish processing. B. Commercial. C. Municipal. D. Aquaculture. The answer is D. Aquaculture. Aquaculture is the biggest and leading sector of the Philippines, with 2.36 million metric tons production in 2019, or equivalent to 53% of the country's total production. This sector includes seaweed, mussel, and oyster production. 26. What is the most important raw material ingredient for fish feeds? A. Soybean meal. B. Blood meal. C. Worm meal. D. Fish meal. The answer is A. Soybean meal. Soybean meal is the most important raw material ingredient for fish feeds, as it is the most important source of protein. It represents 2/3 of the total world output of protein stuffs. 27. This percentage is the contribution of fisheries in terms of Philippines GDP last 2018 at current prices. A. 1.1%. B. 1.2%. C. 1.3%. D. 1.4%. The answer is B. 1.2%. According to BFAR, the fisheries had contributed 1.2% in terms of Philippines GDP for 2018 at current prices. 28. What province is the biggest milkfish producing area in the Philippines? A. Bulacan. B. Batangas. C. Pangasinan. D. Panay. The answer is C. Pangasinan. According to Nestor Demendon, BFAR Ilocos Regional Director, Pangasinan produces 23% of Bangus supply in the country, and more than 90% in the Ilocos region. The production area is concentrated in the western towns of the province, and the produce is sold in Navotas and Malabon in Metro Manila and in Dagupan City. 29. How many hectares of lakes do we have in the Philippines for aquaculture purposes? A. 50,000 hectares. B. 40,000 hectares. C. 30,000 hectares. D. 20,000 hectares. The answer is D. 20,000 hectares. As presented by BFAR, 20,000 hectares of the lakes we have in the Philippines is dedicated for aquaculture purposes. It also includes other fishery activities. 30. Regarding product utilization in fisheries and aquaculture, Which product form comprises the most significant based on world data? A. Prepared or preserved. B. Frozen. C. Live, fresh, and chilled. D. Cured. The answer is C. Live, fresh, and chilled. Most fish and fishery products that are locally available in the market are those of live, fresh, and chilled, as these products are commonly marketed among developing countries, valuing around 60 to 70 metric tons in production.